Welcome students, myself Vishal Pandey, and let us continue the topic which was taking yesterday. Nothing new, but in the kingdom of fools, a story, a prominent story, interesting as well, from your Moments book. As if you have not understood the story, please just go through my previous videos. Then you will be understanding that how in the kingdom of fools, basically the guru and his disciple reached there, and they found there that there were certain conditions by the king that the night should be treated as day and the day should be treated as night. So what exactly means? In night the people used to open their shops, shopkeepers used to sit on the shops, farmer used to go in the fields to do farming, and many more things takes place in night, whereas during the day people of that particular kingdom sleeps and they do not come on the roads. So the trouble starts from when the thief breaks into a merchant's house. A thief was there, a burglar was there, and he breaks into the merchant's house. Merchant was sleeping all together, and the thief breaks into his house. Now what happens then? The wall collapses and the thief dies. He was a burglar and he dig out a hole into that particular wall, and unfortunately when he was returning back from the house, the wall fall down on his head and straight away he died on the spot. Because he died, his brother, the thief's brother, complained, and he went straight away to Almighty, that is the Majesty, the king himself, and he demanded compensation for his brother's life. The thief's brother blames the merchant for his brother's death. What it means कि ये एक circumlocution की एक situation है where the king has to make a judgment. But remember one thing which is more important, that being a thief, he was doing a robbery in a particular house, in the merchant's house, and he died over there, and now his brother is demanding compensation. That was the fool's kingdom. It can be happen only in the kingdom of fools. The king summons the merchants, and see the king what he is doing. Summon means to give notice to anyone, but it should be in an official way. So king summons the merchant, and the merchant was bring into the courtroom. So let us see what happens then. Then the trial starts. What is trial? Trial means the judgment. The duration of the trial was to just make sure that who is found guilty. So king is responsible for that because he is the cynosure, center of attraction as well. So the merchant says in his defense, the merchant who was brought into the king's courtyard, the merchant was altogether defending himself, and he started saying that it is the fault of the bricklayer. Now this is the story which will create a humor, you to laugh as well. What merchant says? Merchant says that my wall which fall on the head of the thief, because of that he died, but it is not my fault at all, because that wall belongs to me, that I know, but it was not made by me. The bricklayer built this wall, so bricklayer is responsible for this misdeed, for this misfortune. So the king was convinced by this statement of merchant. So the bricklayer holds the dancing girl responsible. What is this? Before this, let me draw your attention towards the background of the statement. The bricklayer was called into the courtroom. Since king has not very much his own consciousness is not working at all, because he is not an intelligent king. Rather than he is a foolish king. In the beginning I told you, because it is the kingdom of fools. So bricklayer was called, and bricklayer because he had built the wall many years before. So according to king, the bricklayer was responsible for the death of that thief. Now when bricklayer called in the court, bricklayer also has something to assert. What he says, bricklayer says that, my lordship, when I was making the wall, it is not my mistake, because when I was making the wall, a dancing girl was moving from here and there, and because of that particular girl, I have to lose my concentration. So it is not my fault at all. Because of that young girl, because of that beautiful girl, I lose my concentration. So ultimately the responsible for this misfortune is that girl. So please call that girl into the courtyard, and she should be hanged till death. So what next king does is, king called that dancing girl. And because it was a story of many years before that wall was built, that young girl has now changed into an old lady or an old woman. The dancing girl blames the goldsmith. Nobody is taking responsibility, because everyone is blaming to one another. That dancing girl tells that, my lordship, this is not my mistake at all. I went here and there at that time because a goldsmith was not making my jewelry, and he was not giving at the particular time, and because of that he was sending me back, and from back I was on his shop. So goldsmith was responsible now. Now this is very interesting thing, that goldsmith in turn accuses the rich merchant. So king called that goldsmith as well in his courtroom. That goldsmith also defends himself and said that, because of a merchant, rich merchant, I was working on the jewelries of rich merchant, because of that only I was not able to give all the jewelries of that girl, that lady. So ultimately the goldsmith blames a rich merchant, and this rich merchant was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. So ultimately the story revolves around a circle, and from where the story was began, it reaches there, because the merchant's house where the thief was died, his father was a rich merchant, and this goldsmith many years before working on that particular rich merchant, and today the rich merchant is no more in this world. Let us understand more about this unique trial. As you can see that altogether the goldsmith who did not make her ornaments in time, but he pleaded that a rich merchant pressed him to make ornaments for a family wedding. So this rich merchant is none other than father of that merchant whose wall has fallen on a thief, and because of that the thief had died. So the rich merchant was ordered to be executed. Now rich merchant, the king told his ministers to bring that rich merchant, but unfortunately the rich merchant is no more in the world. So because he has died, his son, the new merchant whose wall fall on the thief, he was executed. And the story from where it began, it reaches there itself. Now let us understand what is stake. Stake means the rope in which the people used to hang till death. So this is very interesting story. In the next video I will be explaining you that how this story was reaches at its pinnacle, what is the climax of the story. We will be discussing along with its question and answers. Thank you so much.